Hello, good evening. Just we'll wait for 2 more minutes. Let's the participants join. So type in chat if my voice is clear and I'm audible and my screen is clear. Just type in chat no. Just 2 minutes. We'll wait for some more participants. Just check. Am I audible? Just type in chat that I'm audible. Hello, am I audible? Thank you for joining this session. So let's just see an update. So what we did. So we created a okay user data. I'll keep it as user data. Okay. So here I'll create a new table, table name user, add. So ID, I am adding it. Let it be integer. Name, let it be varchar. Varchar of 50. So this is what we saw in the last session also. So we created this data. Next in data, what we did, we just added a row, right? So just we will add a row here, insert row. So ID, name, say let it be Vijay, email vp gmail.com. So let it just be one. So just created a table with one user in it, right? With one user in it. Now going for the next step. So what we did, we downloaded a Spring Boot application, right? So coming here, what you have to do, you have to give it as start spring .io. So Spring initializer. So you get a Spring initializer. So from here, so I am audible and my screen is visible, right? You are able to see my screens and all. Yeah, thank you. So what we did, we this also we have completed in the last session also. It's a start string.io. Here we selected Java and it is a Maven project version 3.1.3. So here we created a group, right? So group name, let it be Mr. Expert. And what is the thing? I'll give it as a user data. So 7, it's a jar file. So this is it. And in dependency, what I need to do, I give dependency. So it is a web. So Spring Web, we need this. Then we need JPA. Then we used Lambda also for avoiding that boilerplate issues, right? So that we have a getter setter issues, right? So to avoid that boilerplates, we use this Lambda. So let it be. Then is MySQL driver, right? So when we have done all the dependencies, what we can do, we can just give generate. So generate. So it is generating a file and it's trying to store. Let me store in my D drive, user data, save. Right. So what I have to do, I will go to my D drive. So user data. So right click, extract all. I'm extracting this file because it's a zip file. I need to extract it. I'm extracting it. That's done. Now what we can do, we can go for Eclipse. So these tips we have seen in the last session itself, right? So just a recap, so making it faster so that you know. So we are trying to create a REST API, right? So REST API tool. So what I have to do, I need to import this file. Import. I say existing Maven project. Browse. Where is the file? It is in D drive, right? So D drive we have, and it is user data. Selecting it. Select the folder and give finish. So now file is getting created. So I'm closing all this previous one so that you freshly see things. Okay. So user data. So you can see that it is there. So in this, we have a main file and we also have a resources. In resources application properties, we need to paste this code, right? So this is also we have discussed in the last session itself. Just a recap of it. So what is it? What is my database here? In my case, my database which I used is a HideSQL. and user data is my database. So my database name is user data. So localhost, I have to give it as user data. User data. Password, everything remains the same. No change. I'm saving this. Right. Now, so once I have done this, I need to check my application is running properly or not. So that is my next step, right? So before running the application, I'll give it as local host colon 8080. So I'm just giving localhost colon 8080, just pressing enter. You can see the site can't be reached. That means there is nothing in the execution stage, or there is nothing to be executed, or 880 is not running in my system. That is what it's meaning. This also we have seen last thing. This is just a recap. Now I need to run this application, right? So what I will to do, going to user data application, right click on it, go to run as Java application. So now you can see that Spring Boot is running. Here itself, it will show if there is any errors that is making it. So it has shown no error, and we can see clearly that it is running in 8080 port, right? So now coming here, now you see, we don't see the error that site not reachable. We see that white label error. That is, now the application, there is something running in this. And what is it running? We have not coded yet, right? So that is the reason we have not coded. So it is showing me an error that this is. So till this we did it, right? So this we did it and we left out. Right. Now we will continue the session. So what I need to do, I need to create a repository for it. I need to create a model for it. And here, so actually in Java Spring Boot, we call it as an entity. Model is nothing but the database connection which we are trying to use. So here we are trying to use user data is my database. I want to connect it. So what I will do, I will be using it to connect. So for that, I need to create some entities, right? So I can go with a model, I can name it as a model, or I can name it with an entity also. So what I will do, I'll just right click on this and I will give new package. I'll give new package, and what is the package name? Dot model you can give, but the correct format for Spring Boot is an entity. So I will go with the same name entity. Nothing wrong in it. You can choose whatever you like. You can keep it as model also. Because anyway, in the code, you will be annotating it as entity. So just I am giving this and I give as entity. Okay, entity. Finish. So my package is created. Now what I get, I right click on this and give new a Java class file, right? So I need to create a Java class file for this. So I'll just create it as class file. So here, one important thing, when we are creating this model, this is nothing but the entity. We said it is a model, right? It should be in the same name of the table here. Here it is user. So keep the name in the same so that you need not go for a table. Otherwise, you need to specify an annotation called table and name the actual table name that you are using here. So that is the nuisance. But here I am not changing it. I am going to use it as user. That's it. And I give finish. Right. So now my user is here. So what I want here, so what are the fields that I have created? It is name, ID, name, and email, right? So ID, name, and email. So what I will do, I'll give it as private int ID. So this is where. Then other thing is name, right? It is private string name, again private string email. Okay, user data. I'll keep it as user data. Okay. So private string, we have created this, right? So that is what. If my table name is same, then there is no issues. If my table name is different, user, I need to give it as table at notation. So I need to give at notation and I will give it as table. And what you have to give? You have to give the name equal to what is your table name? If it is not user, for my case, the table name is same as user. Same way you can do it for column also. So it will check the column name with name and email. So you can get at column annotation and you can do it also. Right. So here this is an entity, right? So I will give it as at entity. So this will tell the system that this is an entity. So the program will now understand it is an entity. So, okay, I have given a mistake. It is not entirety, it is entity. There is this mistake. I'll refactor this. If you have done a mistake, just right click and you can refactor it. So go to refactor, rename it. So just created a table with one user in it, right? One minute, I'll delete this. With one user in it. Now going for the next step. So what we did, we downloaded a Spring Boot application, right? So coming here, what you have to do, you have to give it a so package, right click, new, go to package, and what is my package name? User data dot entity, entity. Finish. Then right click, new class. So what is my table name? That is model table. That is nothing but user. Give finish. Now it is okay. It is entity. Right. Now to specify that the application should understand that it is an entity, right? So for that I need an annotation called at entity. So this will have the orientation entity. Right. Now, so what else do I need? So I paste everything here. This also we have completed in the last section also. It's a startstring.io. Here we selected Java and it is a Maven project version 3.1.3. So here we created a group, right? So group name, let it be Mr.Expert. Okay. So we created this, right? Now to add this, just you can click on this, you will get implementation. So 7, it's a jar, right? So this and in dependency, what I need to do, I give dependency. So now your implementation is ready, right? User. Now here, as I said, if you want to change the table name, you can go with an at notation. Now this is an user, right? When user, this is a model having name and string. For this, what we have to do, we have to create that getters, setters, constructors we need to give no argument constructor, uh, no argument constructor and all argument constructor we need to add for this, right? So what I do is just right click this and I can go for source. Done all the dependencies. You can go for getter setter functions. So what you do, generate getter and setters. When you click this, you will get all. So select all and you can give it as generate. Store in my D drive, user data. So now you can see that that is a getter setter. Right. Right. So instead of this, so this is the boilerplate for us, which we need to do is instead of it, what we can do, we can directly add here with annotations. What I can do, give at getter. I'm extracting this file because it's a zip file. So like this, I can do an annotation and I can remove this code. Now anyway, I have created that getter setter. I will go with all arguments. Now what we can do? We can go for Eclipse. So these tips we have seen in the last session itself, right? So just a recap, making it faster. And I will go with all create a REST API, right? So REST API no arguments. So what I have to do, I need to import this file. Import, constructor. I say existing Maven project. So these are the things that I needed. So for this, what I need, I need a Lambok. So this is the boilerplate which we are doing, right? So instead of creating the code, we are giving this annotation. So what I have to do, I need to import it. So import. So now Lombok. Lombok. Okay. Lombok dot. You can give it, see that getters, setters are there. So if I want to add everything, I'll just give it a star so that all will be getting added, right? So this is there. So now another thing is I am using data for connecting the data. So that is so I am using here. Okay, this is done now. Now coming to this part. So this is a ID which I am using. With this will be the primary key, or this is the main key for which I need to delete a record or to update a record. To delete a record or update a record, I need a main key, right? So for that, I'll give it as at ID. So this one is a main for it. Okay. Then what else? I am also mentioning that this has to be auto generated. So it is generative. So ID I will not be giving from the front end, it will auto generate. So at generate. Once I have done this, I need to check my application is running properly or at generated so that is value. Next step, right? So before running the application. So when I give this, so it will recognize that this ID is a key as well as it is auto generated. So what should be there in our database when we are doing the structuring? No, so we should have given auto increment. So that should be there already. Already when we are doing this itself, we should have given auto increment for here. So here instead of this, I will give as auto increment and give it as OK and give save. Now I need to run this application, right? So what I will to do, going to user data application, right click on it, go to run as it is asking for a key. Java application. So now you can see that Spring Boot is running. Here itself, it will show if there is any errors that is making it. Okay. So now it is auto increment and the ID is there. Now going to the data. So we have this. So it is an auto increment and that we have created here. So now there will be no issues when we are going with this. Right? Got it? So these things we have done here. So whatever needs to be done in the user, we have done it. There is an thing which needs to be added. What is it running? We have not coded yet, right? So that is the reason we have not need to coded. Import. So it is showing for all I need to import. So I will import. We did it, so maybe right? This. So this we did it. I'll give it a star mark. Right. Now we will continue this session. So what I need to do, I need to create so now a repository for it. I have done the user and model for it and everything is fine here. Java Spring Boot, we call it as an entity. Model is there is an additional bracket. Trying to use. So now I can see there is no issues. The errors are gone. So that is first thing. Next, I need to do a retrospective. I mean, it is a repository that needs to be created. For repository to be created, what I have to do, I need to create a repository package. So what I will do, just go right click, giving us new. So what I will do, I'll just right click on this package and I will give repository. What does it means? Why do we need this? We are using a JPA connection. So what is the benefit of this Spring Boot JPA, which will all help us in doing CRUD operations? What is a CRUD operation? Create, update, insert or delete. So that is create, update or delete. So whatever you want to do, you can do it. So I'll create this a package and I will keep it as a repository. REPO SITORY. Finish. Sorry, there is a power failure. I'm not able to view my keyboard. So that is the reason it is I'm struggling. So I'm using standby mode connection. It's a heavy rain here and the powers have gone. Yeah, just an update for you. So actually it's a repository. Finish. Now what I will do, I'll just right click, create new class. Here, this is not a class. I will be creating as an interface. So interface I will give. And what is this interface name? User interface, right? So I'll give it as user repository. So I'll give it as user repository. Once I have done, I give finished. So you can see that public interface user repository has been created. Right. Now, only one thing here. So we have created a repository, but this is not a normal repository. It should extend that JPA repository. So we have to give it as extends. So we are inheriting here extends JPA repository. JPA repository. That is there. Next, what is the thing? We are using the ID, right? So user, and what is the data type for it? It is nothing but an integer, right? We gave a user as an integer for it. So the same I need to give integer, integer. Okay. So I have done this. Now it is asking me to include this. So repository. Then this user we need have created an entity, right? So that I need to import. So that is so go to that. Then you can give it as user find. This is not necessary, but just if but on if you need. So this helps you to find string. So search also. So we'll give it as string name. So save this. So now we have created a repository also. So this repository helps us in doing CRUD operations of from connecting our application to the profile. So connecting the application to the database. So that is it. Now what I will do, I'm just stopping here. So the connection is running. I need to stop it. Okay. So now I will need to create a service. I will be creating a service for getting the details, right? So that is the next thing. So right click, go to new package. I want to create a service. So dot service dot service finish. In this service, what I will create, I will need to create a user service, right? So I'll just right click, new Java class, nothing but user service, right? So I'll give it as user service. Finish. So now I have created a user service here, right? So user service. When I'm using user service, I need to use the repository. So this is a service which is used to fetch the data from the repository. Repository, what is it doing? It is fetching the data with the help of JPA CRUD operations. So that is auto here. With this is a service, right? In that case, I need to give an annotation saying that this is a service. So this will imply that it is a service that is used here, right? Okay, so I'll use this. I'll first complete it, then I will add the dependencies. Then I want to give here as an auto wired, suching that automatically it should connect. So there is another automation on it. station, you can give it as auto wired. So you can give it as auto wired. That is done. Next, what I need to do, I need to bring the repository here, right? So I will give it as private. I am creating an instance of that repository inside this. So I'm injecting that repository. So private, what is it? Nothing but user repository. So user repository, I'll name it as repository. REPO SIT. So user repository. User repository. User REPO SITO. All right, it's right. I'll just implement, import this. Now we have this. Then I need to do this also. I'll just click on, you can just click here, auto wired annotations. Okay. Next one is service. I can just click on, or you can here click also. You will get that service, import service you get. So just double click here, or once you keep here also the mouse pointer, you'll get. So import service. So now everything is done. This is showing as a yellow mark saying that it is not used. That's not an use. So okay. So that is done. Now